Hollywood has a way of rewriting history, and not just on the screen. Every award season, legends are made or broken, but some of the greatest war films ever created were shoved aside by the Academy like yesterday's news. What makes a movie unforgettable and still get ignored at the Oscars? And how did these cinematic game changers end up empty-handed while lesser movies walked away with gold? Get ready to revisit some jaw-dropping snubs, wild controversies, and stories that the Academy hopes you'll forget, but you won't after this. Paths of Glory, 1957. Let's start with a gut punch. Stanley Kubrick's Paths of Glory didn't just get snubbed, it got bulldozed by the establishment. Picture this. 1957, a time when war movies were supposed to be patriotic, clean, and above all, comfortable. Kubrick, ever the rebel, adapts a novel about French soldiers who are executed for cowardice in World War I, and suddenly, every power in Europe is furious. The French army banned it, Germany banned it, Spain's dictator banned it. Even the US military wanted nothing to do with it. Why? Because Kubrick dared to show war as the messy, horrifying, and totally unfair hell it really is. But here's the kicker. Not only did Paths of Glory shake the system, it also featured Kirk Douglas at his fierce best, leading a cast of broken men through the mud and bureaucracy. Critics lost their minds over the film's boldness and emotional punch. Even today, it's considered one of the sharpest anti-war statements ever filmed. So, how did the Academy respond? With absolute silence. 0 nominations. Not Best Picture, not Best Director, not even a pat on the back for Douglas. It's the kind of snub that screams politics over art. Kubrick had the last laugh, though. Paths of Glory is now immortal, studied and quoted, while most 1957 winners are collecting dust. If you want to see what real cinematic courage looks like, start right here. The Great Escape, 1963. Ask any movie fan for their top war flicks, and The Great Escape always makes the list. The music, the motorcycles, Steve McQueen jumping barbed wire in a scene that makes you want to cheer out loud. This isn't just a movie, it's a pop culture event. Based on the real-life mass breakout from a German POW camp, this epic delivers suspense, camaraderie, and heroism in spades. There's a reason the film has been quoted, referenced, and parodied for decades. Here's the wild part. Despite massive box office success and lasting influence, The Great Escape was barely acknowledged by the Academy. Sure, it got a nod for its unforgettable score, but not Best Picture, not Best Director, not even for McQueen's star-making performance. Meanwhile, less daring films swept up the big prizes. Was it too thrilling, too entertaining, or maybe too British for Hollywood's taste at the time? Whatever the reason, the Academy missed the boat completely. The Great Escape is the kind of classic that gets played every holiday for a reason. Generations have grown up with it, and filmmakers from Spielberg to Tarantino cite it as an inspiration. If the Oscars were about cultural legacy and the sheer thrill of cinema, this would have been a shoo-in. Instead, it stands as a reminder that sometimes the Academy is the one stuck behind bars, while the real classics leap over the fence and keep on running. The Battle of Algiers, 1966. Some movies don't just entertain, they shake entire governments. The Battle of Algiers is one of those films, shot in black and white with a documentary style so convincing people thought it was real. Director Gillo Pontecorvo dove headfirst into the bloody, chaotic street fighting of Algeria's struggle for independence from France. The result? A movie so intense and politically charged that it was banned in France for years. In the United States, it became a must-watch for everyone from student activists to military strategists. The Pentagon even screened it as a lesson on urban warfare. Internationally, it was a sensation. The Battle of Algiers won the Golden Lion at Venice and was showered with critical acclaim and festival prizes. But when it came to Oscar night, 3 nominations, 0 wins. Best Foreign Language Film, Director, and Screenplay all lost. It's almost poetic. A film about people fighting for recognition, snubbed by Hollywood's biggest night. Over 50 years later, the Battle of Algiers is still shown in classrooms, war colleges, and film festivals. Its gritty realism and nerve-shredding suspense make it one of the most important war films ever created. Yet, the Academy shut it out, maybe because it was just too real, too raw, or too challenging for their taste. For everyone else, though, it's a film that refuses to be forgotten. Cross of Iron, 1977. Ready for a war movie that flips the script and shows the other side? Cross of Iron is Sam Peckinpah's masterpiece about a doomed German platoon fighting on the Russian front in World War II. This isn't your typical good guys versus bad guys story. Peckinpah digs into the mud, the fear, and the moral collapse of war, following James Coburn's battle-weary sergeant as he clashes with a glory-hungry officer. There's brutality, cynicism, and a level of intensity that leaves most war films looking tame. Here's what's crazy. Critics in Europe went wild for Cross of Iron. The film was nominated for multiple BAFTAs and became a cult classic among directors and war buffs alike. But in America, it barely made a ripple. The Oscars gave it 0 nominations. Not Best Picture, not Director, not even for its stark cinematography or legendary battle sequences. Maybe Hollywood just wasn't ready for a movie that forced viewers to see war through enemy eyes. Peckinpah was already infamous for his uncompromising style, but Cross of Iron was his most ambitious and haunting war film. Over the years, it's gained a devoted following and is often called the greatest war movie you've never seen. If you're tired of propaganda and want a film that punches you in the gut, this is it. The Academy might have looked away, but real film lovers know where the medals should have gone. Das Boot 1981. Submarine movies are hard to get right, but Das Boot didn't just get it right, it redefined the entire genre. Wolfgang Petersen's epic about a German U-boat crew during World War II pulls you into the claustrophobic nightmare of underwater warfare. It's sweaty, nerve-wracking, and so real you can practically smell the diesel. Every frame is packed with tension, from the relentless depth charges to the slow-burn terror of waiting for the next attack. This wasn't just a movie, it was a sensation. In Europe, Das Boot swept awards and packed theaters. It became a German cultural landmark and a must-see for anyone serious about cinema. At the Oscars, it landed 6 nominations, including Best Director, Cinematography, and Editing. But here's the gut punch, not a single win. The Academy gave all the big prizes to safer bets. How does a film with this level of technical achievement, emotional impact, and international success go home empty-handed? Today, Das Boot is ranked alongside the greatest war films ever made. Directors and critics still praise its realism and psychological depth. It's studied, referenced, and endlessly rewatched. Maybe Hollywood just couldn't stomach giving top honors to a German-language film about German soldiers. Whatever the excuse, this was a snub that still echoes through film history. The Academy stayed dry while Das Boot dove deep and came up legendary. Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence, 1983. What happens when you drop rock legend David Bowie into a Japanese prison camp and let him spar, both physically and psychologically, with film icon Ryuichi Sakamoto? You get Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence, a film that defies every war movie cliché in the book. It's not about bombs and bullets. It's about culture clashes, buried trauma, and the mysterious bonds that form between enemies. Nagisa Oshima directs with the kind of daring that makes Hollywood nervous. The script wrestles with authority, loyalty, and forgiveness, all set to a haunting score by Sakamoto himself. Critics loved it, and it racked up major awards in Japan and Europe. Bowie's performance was a revelation, all quiet dignity and barely contained rage. Tom Conti and Takeshi Kitano fill out a cast that delivers subtlety in every look and line. Yet, when Oscar season rolled around, the Academy gave it the silent treatment. Not a single nomination, not for the moving score, not for Bowie's transformative role, not even for its unique direction. So why did this movie get snubbed? Maybe it was too complex, too international, or just too unwilling to deliver the easy answers Hollywood loves. Decades later, Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence is still dissected by film buffs, musicians, and historians alike. If you want a war film that challenges you and leaves you humming its theme for days, this is it. The Academy may have looked away, but this one still commands respect. Zulu 1964. Think of grand, old-school war epics, and Zulu stands tall above the rest. If you want spectacle, this movie delivers it in spades, sweeping African landscapes, wall-to-wall action, and a cast led by a young, magnetic Michael Caine, making his first mark on movie history. The story is as intense as they come. The Battle of Rorke's Drift, where a handful of British soldiers, hopelessly outnumbered, hold off a massive Zulu force. Every moment is charged with danger, courage, and the sobering reality of colonial conflict. But Zulu is more than just bayonets and bullets. It's a masterclass in tension, character, and the tough questions that history throws our way. When it hit theaters, Zulu was a blockbuster sensation in Britain, drawing huge crowds and earning a BAFTA nomination for its achievements. The film's scale and ambition matched, and sometimes beat, anything coming out of Hollywood at the time. The battle scenes are jaw-dropping, the performance is fierce, and the sense of dread never lets up. So, how did the Oscars respond? With total indifference. Not a single nomination for Best Picture, acting, or even the technical wizardry behind those massive set pieces. Was it just too British for American tastes, or did its clear-eyed look at imperialism make voters uncomfortable? Whatever the reason, Zulu has lasted while plenty of Oscar winners have faded. It's still studied in military academies and cited by directors who know a great war film when they see one. Some movies don't need gold statues to prove their worth. They just stand tall on their own. King and Country 1964. Some war films are all about heroics. King and Country is about the fallout when heroism fails. Directed by Joseph Losey and starring Dirk Bogarde and Tom Courtenay, the film digs deep into the mud of World War I trenches, where death comes quietly and justice is anything but blind. Courtenay plays a British private on trial for desertion, while Bogarde's officer is tasked with defending him. What unfolds isn't just a courtroom drama, it's a searing indictment of military bureaucracy and the soul-crushing costs of war. Critics in the UK hailed the film for its unflinching realism and emotional gravity. It scooped up BAFTA nominations and established itself as a high watermark in British war cinema. Losey's direction is icy and relentless, refusing to give viewers any easy way out. Yet, come Oscar time, Hollywood kept its distance. Not a single nomination for acting, script, or direction. Maybe it was just too bleak or too honest about what war does to the human mind. But if you ask those who study the genre, King and Country stands as one of the finest anti-war statements of the 60s. Its legacy is a quiet one, but it grows stronger with every generation of viewers who discover its haunting power. Forget the medals. This film delivers a gut punch that lingers far longer than any trophy. A Walk in the Sun 1945. Hollywood loves to brag about its World War II epics, flags waving, big speeches, and explosions everywhere. But here's the truth they never mention. One of the greatest Wowie II movies almost vanished, ignored by the very industry that produced it. A Walk in the Sun isn't loud or flashy. It quietly follows a platoon of American GIs inching their way through the Italian countryside. There's no heroic last stand or over-the-top action. Instead, it's hour by hour, step by step, as nerves start to fray and hopes barely hang on. Directed by Louis Milestone, who knew a thing or two about the realities of war, the film was released while World War II was still raging, so there was no room for sugarcoating. Critics at the time were floored by its honesty and craftsmanship. The film swept the National Board of Review's top awards, and real-life veterans praised it as the first movie that truly captured what combat felt like. The exhaustion, the boredom, the terror, and the confusion. No pumped-up glory, just raw reality. And yet, when Oscar night rolled around, it was like A Walk in the Sun never happened. No nomination for direction, none for the groundbreaking script, not even for the innovative soundtrack that set a new standard. Maybe it was too soon after the fighting, or maybe Hollywood just wanted a happy ending. Today, the film is a lost gem, rediscovered by movie lovers who crave authenticity. The Academy may have missed this march, but for anyone who values honesty in war cinema, this is the real starting line. The Steel Helmet 1951. Here's a war movie that kicked the door open for every gritty, in-the-trenches film that followed. Samuel Fuller's The Steel Helmet didn't just break the rules, it tossed them out the window. Filmed on a shoestring budget, shot in just 10 days, and released while the Korean War was still raging, this movie was as raw and unfiltered as the battles it depicted. You follow a battered, ragtag squad of American soldiers, each one carrying their own scars, prejudices, and hidden fears, slogging through an unforgiving battlefield where the enemy isn't always across the line. It's sometimes in your own foxhole. The realism here is so intense you can practically feel the mud caking on your boots and hear the tension in every whispered conversation. Gene Evans leads the cast with a haunted edge, and Fuller refuses to sugarcoat anything. He tackles racism, divided loyalties, and the chaos that comes with war. Critics knew instantly this wasn't just another war flick, it was the first great film about the Korean conflict, and historians still call it a landmark. But when Oscar season rolled around, silence. No nominations, no headlines, not even a token mention. Maybe the wounds were too fresh, or maybe Hollywood wasn't ready to see the ugly truth so soon after the fighting. Still, the steel helmet set the tone for all the gritty war movies that came after, from Platoon to Saving Private Ryan. Sometimes being first means you're too real for your own good, and too ahead of the game for the Academy to catch up. Waltz with Bashir 2008. Let's close with a film that blew up every rule about what a war movie is supposed to be, and still walked away from Oscar night empty-handed. Waltz with Bashir isn't just a war film, it's a wild, animated documentary that punches you right in the gut. Israeli director Ari Folman does something nobody had dared before. He takes raw interviews with real soldiers from the Lebanon War and transforms them into a haunting fever dream. The result is both surreal and devastating, a journey through fractured memory, where every frame looks like it's torn straight from a nightmare. This isn't the usual guns and glory war epic. It's a deep dive into guilt, trauma, and the haunting ghosts that soldiers can't shake. The critics lost their minds, and so did the international awards circuit. Waltz with Bashir snagged the Golden Globe, the BAFTA, and swept up prizes at film festivals all over the world. Audiences everywhere were shaken by its originality and emotional power. Even the Academy took notice, giving it a historic nomination for Best Foreign Language Film, the first time an animated feature had ever landed in that category. But when Oscar night rolled around, it was left on the sidelines. No Best Picture, no Best Director, not even a nod for its revolutionary animation style. Maybe Hollywood just couldn't figure out how to label it. Too real for a cartoon, too experimental for an award show built on comfort. But anyone who's seen Waltz with Bashir knows you don't forget a film like this. So, what's the real prize in the world of war movies? An Oscar or a legacy that endures long after the statues gather dust? If these films teach us anything, it's that greatness doesn't need Academy approval. Which of these snubs got you fired up? Let us know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more hidden classics and movie showdowns. Next time you hear someone say, "The Oscars always get it right," you'll know just how many legends were left out in the cold.